Hey guys, welcome. It's Ashley here from Lovely Commotion. Happy Sunday. I hope you are all well. I hope all is going well and you are staying healthy. Today is all about the 4 benefits of free choice play. So, before we get started, I kind of wanted to lay the foundation of what free choice play means to me so that as we're going forward, you'll kind of have an understanding of what free choice play is. So, some things to consider. If you allow your children to choose which center to go to rather than having a rotation board or telling them where to go, then you most likely do free choice centers. Also, if you allow them to move freely without asking to go somewhere else or waiting for a timer, waiting for a turn, all those things, then you probably are running a free choice center as well. So these are the benefits we're talking about for these free choice play centers. In opposition to assigned centers. And assigned centers is more when you have a center rotation board or you decide the groups. So maybe these two children are in a group and they go to this center for this long and then they switch to a different center after this long. You might switch who's in what groups, but pretty much bottom line, it's a lot dictated by the teacher in the classroom. So there aren't children moving freely without constraints. So we're going to look at the 4 benefits of free choice play because, of course, there's pros and cons to both. And I'm sure you can tell just by the title of this video that I am a big supporter of free choice. So let's get into why it's such a good choice. Why these are, a great choice. But if you're running assigned centers in your classroom, I'm sure sometimes you're like, oh man, I don't know what the appeal is for free choice centers because it can get more loud, it can get more chaotic. And then you also have to think about the fact that not all children are going to all centers. And so, how can you be sure that they're learning if they're not visiting every center? Plus, how are you going to separate children that you don't necessarily want together unless you assign centers? I hear you. I had all these same questions in my brain when I first started centers, but I'm telling you, both choices have pros and cons. And hopefully, after going through these benefits, you will see that maybe one outweighs the other for our young learners. So, hear me out. I know if you are on the fence kind of about should I be assigning center? Should I be making this all my decision? Or maybe should I change or should I try free choice centers for maybe one center time of the day and keep assigned? That would be a great way to kind of look at both of them and see what you think the benefits are and obviously the negatives of both. But let's just run through these because I really want you to think about maybe bringing some free choice play into your classroom if you don't already. So the first benefit is engagement. So let's just think about this from more of a adult perspective right now. So if you were to spend your Saturday doing an activity, which one would you rather do? One that fills you up inside, maybe you have a desire to do, you really just have a love to do this thing and you just want to do it. Maybe it's, cross stitch, maybe it's cookie decorating, maybe it's, skiing, whatever it may be. Would you rather do that or something you've been told to do, right? Maybe somebody tells you, well, today we are going to go shopping. This is what we're doing today. And you didn't have that choice. You would probably find yourself maybe not so motivated to go shopping. You're maybe not so interested in it. You're maybe just going through the motions and hoping for it to be done so that you can go and do that desired thing that you wanted to do. Children are no different, right? When they're given choice over what they play, they are always going to choose something that sparks their interest, that fills them up inside, something that they like. I mean, think about it. Have you ever seen one of your children spend 30 minutes building blocks, but they can't sit for 5 minutes on your carpet? I mean, I've seen it often. So that child was super engaged in this block building, but not so much in carpet time because it wasn't something that was pulling them in. It wasn't something that was fun and engaging. And so, engagement, we're always going to have more engagement when they choose where they want to play. And then we get the big benefit of slipping in all that learning into that play that they're already loving to do. So the question becomes, what do we want for our students? Do we want them to go through the emotion, just go through the motions of assigned activities? Kind of like if you were told to do something, you're just going to go through the motions. It may not be all your passion and excitement in it. Or do we want them to dig deeper, right? Do we want them to get super engaged? Do we want them to go farther into what interests them as opposed to just surface level? So that's one huge benefit is you're going to see engagement. And I will get to kind of all of those other objections as far as, but they're not learning, in every center and all those things. But really, we know that, of course, our students are going to be more engaged when they choose the activity that fills them up. Number 2 on the benefits for free choice play is the whole child. So when we give our children a choice to decide what they want to play, who they want to play with, and where they want to play, and how long, they're learning, hey, what I like matters. My interests and desires matters. Because we all know we're not all the same. Some of us have this internal drive to be creative. Some of us lean towards more of the mathematical, analytic building. Like you've seen those friends that can just build these massive, amazing towers, and you think, oh my goodness, I would have never thought of doing that. They have different interests, right? We're not all great at the same thing. Some kids absolutely love being immersed in books and language, some art. There's so many. Some just excel in the physical world. We know this, right? We know that all of our children have these wonderful strengths. So when we allow that choice, they get to show us their strengths and we get to see them more as this whole child, right? You are not just this academic student that fits in this box that works on these assessments and is reported on this report card or whatever you might have. No, you are a whole child, and I can see that you have amazing talents in art. And so maybe how can I bring more learning into art, into the art center for you, right? We're seeing them as more than just a student in our classroom that needs to come in, sit down, do what they're told, finish what they're doing. And instead, we're seeing them as whole children with whole needs, right? So that is big benefit number 2, because nothing will help you get closer to a child than seeing them. Nothing will help you with the behavior of a child and a connection. And how we make those connections is just by seeing them. And if we don't allow them to show us who they really are and what they really love, we don't get to see them. And so that's just another huge benefit of free choice play is you don't even have to really ask too much about what are they driven by, what is their love, because you can just watch them. You will learn some are super social and they thrive on it. They don't really care what they're doing. They just want to be around people. And so you're going to know that they are definitely social little friends. And then you're going to have others that may like more quiet, away from the other friends, deep thinking activities. And we learn so much from our students just by giving them those choices. Let's go into benefit number 3, social skills, peer interactions. I mean, if we're being really honest here, does free choice play create more issues in the classroom? Yeah, I think it does. Do I see fighting over toys quite often? Yep, I do. Do I hear squabbling over like who's in charge, or no, I want to do it. I want to be in that role. I want, no, I'm next. Yes. And do I find myself stepping in very often to kind of coach those social issues during that free choice play? Every single day. So could it be easier as far as behavior management and just keeping the classroom in check to assign them? Oh, I'm sure it would be. But the problem with that is that we are now limiting those social skills, because I truly believe it's my job to teach them all the things, not just the academic things. So if I said you have to play here and I controlled where they play, how would they ever get the chance to have that conflict? Because if I'm saying I'm putting these two friends together because they work well together, they may not have a whole lot of conflict to learn from. And we, you, I am a true believer that our children need to understand and learn that there are all kinds of people in the world, and there are some that think like us, some that don't, some that look like us, some that don't. We are all so different, but we need to learn how to be in the world together. And so when they're playing, it's like a little world, right? Like it's our classroom world. And they need to figure out those strategies on how to handle those peer issues. And that will serve them so much farther into adulthood than ever assigning them and choosing who they pair up with. And so when we have that free choice, those problems are going to arise naturally, right? I mean, we definitely do some sit down talk about. We do social emotional lessons. We read the book. We talk about the things. We do an activity, and I love that because it gives us a stepping stone and some vocabulary. But really, the real stuff comes during play, and then I get to be that coach. I get to be the coach coaching them. Oh, their face looks sad. Why do you think their face looks sad? What could we talk to them about? And I'm just there as kind of a facilitator, but I'm also just teaching them right along with it. And while sometimes this stresses me out because I'm trying to get maybe something done or we're playing a game, I have made it a big, big, big priority to stop what I'm doing in the academic world to address those social skills, because they do need just as much of that as they need the academic, if not more. And at home, they could do the academic skills, but at home, they may not have someone to be a peer with, right? And so we provide that at preschool. And so therefore, we need to provide the support behind it as well. So that is another huge one, because I want my students to be able to know how to handle situations. I want them to be able to stand up to a student and say, stop, I don't like that. I want them to be able to handle their body when it's too upset for words. I want to hear them apologize, give apologies. I want them to learn how to forgive. I want them to just feel the joy of what a friendship can bring. And so I just wouldn't have those things if the conflicts didn't naturally arise. So while it's definitely more work on my part to allow these social issues to rise, for me, the benefit of the child is tenfold. And it's not about me, it's about my kids. So that is why that's probably my biggest benefit for doing free choice play. But let's get to the last one. The last one, fourth benefit of free choice play, is more learning. So I truly think that when I allow my children to choose what and where and who they are playing with, they are more engaged. And we know that engaged learners are learning, whether it be an academic skill, like maybe they're patterning on the light table, and I can see that, right? I can see what they're doing right there. Wow, cool. They are extending a pattern and they are engaged because they love the sensory input from that light table. Or maybe it's an intellectual skill like trial and error. I've seen so many kids over the years trying to build blocks that are unstable and have to go back and figure out why it wasn't standing up. And so they're just trial and error back and forth. And it's such a beautiful thing to watch, because that is another skill that's going to serve them so well throughout their life. But one thing is clear, they're learning. And sometimes it takes our trained eye, right? Not everybody who comes in can see it. That's why we hear a lot of, must be nice to play all day, or all they do is play. When do they actually learn something? Like, we hear those things. But it takes our trained eye, and we can see all that learning goodness happening, and it is there. Now, on the flip side, when we assign children to a center with a certain peer, and we say, okay, you stay here for this long, we sometimes see the opposite of learning. If the center isn't something that they want to be in, they don't find interest in it, doesn't fill them up, they may find something completely different to do, right? So maybe you had these stacking cubes that come together, top over top, and you wanted them to use them for patterning. Well, they're now a sword. right? Because this isn't what they want to do. This isn't something that fills them up. They feel trapped because they're stuck at this place for this amount of time. And so we know children will make their own fun when they aren't able to, if you aren't able to provide it, they'll find it. Maybe even pinchers for a pom-pom transfer. Transferring over pom-poms or sorting pom-poms are now becoming a pinching mechanism to the child next to them, right? It doesn't mean these activities are bad. Like, obviously, patterning activities are amazing. Obviously, transferring with fine motor practice, amazing. But when they're presented in a way that children feel like they're stuck and they don't have a choice, they sometimes can quickly resort to making their own fun. And it could be even just yelling to their friend that they really want to interact with because that's who they're naturally drawn to, yelling across the room to them, right? It may be total defiance. I'm not staying here. I'll just get up and go. Like, this isn't what I'm going to do. So when we see that, now we become managing behaviors. Like, now that quickly gets out of hand and all we're doing is saying, do your activity, go back to task. You're supposed to be patterning, go back over. No, you can't be with this child. This is what you're supposed to be working on today. And really, if we stop and look, how much learning is going on there? If they're not engaged in it and they're just going through the motions, then how much deeper level thinking and intellectual skills are being learned there? And so we have to think about that. Like, is this, as though it looks like, okay, everyone went to every center, so that means they got exposure to all the things. And that is true. They did. But did it really go deep? That's the question. Did they really get engaged enough to learn? Or was it something that they just kind of goofed off until the time was up, right? Whereas they could have spent that time, maybe not in every single center, but they could have spent it super engaged. And I've also found that we can assume children will stay in one center all the time when we see it happening, but I have found over the years, they always generally branch out. It's always a branch out, whether it's because a peer is going there and they want to go with the peer, or because something new is over there that sparked their interest. We are always finding ways to get them there, but we want them to be engaged, because if they're not engaged, they most likely are not learning a whole lot. So, after all, our whole role as a teacher is to teach, coach, and support them through learning. And if children are engaged with what they're doing, they're most likely learning. And that's really what we want, right? We want them learning social, academic, emotional skills, all these amazing things. So let's run through them one more time. And I'm really hoping that maybe you have come to see some great benefits, and maybe you can share these. Maybe you have a teacher friend who hasn't yet went into the free choice realm. This might be a great video to share with her or him about, hey, there are some great things. We just have to step back and look at maybe not the classroom management side of what's easiest for you as the teacher, but what's best for our little children who are needing our support and guidance. So again, engagement. We want them engaged, and they generally are going to be engaged when they have a choice over who, what, and when they are in centers, right? Whole child, we can start seeing them for the amazing gifts that God gave them. God gave them all such different amazing gifts. And when we can start seeing those, we can start using them. And they can feel that pride, and we can make those connections with them because we're really seeing them for them, not just as a academic student. 3, social skills. Huge way to teach them. I don't know how you teach social skills without having a little bit of open playtime, whether it's outside or, maybe a different time in your day. But those social skills arising on their own is really the best way for children to learn, because we all learn better in the moment when there's a problem presented to us than we do about a hypothetical. So my most favorite benefit of all. And number 4, more learning. We know that engaged kids are learners. That's why we all want engaged kids, right? We want them engaged. We want them excited. We want them to love learning. And we can do that by making sure that we are keeping our environment engaging, but also that we are giving them choice. We are giving them choice because 20 minutes spent fiddling around, wasting time, creating problems in the classroom to be stuck at a center, but you can say that child had went to that center versus 20 minutes, you get to choose where you want to go. You get engaged in something that means something to you, and along the way, you're picking up some academic and intellectual skills with it, which is your better payoff, right? So I just want you to maybe think about kind of where you are in your classroom and maybe how you can better benefit those kiddos that you are serving. So drop me a comment on this video. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Are you just anti-free choice play? What is working for you? I would love to hear because this is obviously something I'm super passionate about, and I've never seen the need to limit children. But I also know that there are reasons for that, and there are reasons centers choose that, and there are reasons teachers choose that. And I would absolutely love to hear what you have to say about it too. So I am so glad you joined me today, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.